Hello and welcome to another edition of the Talos Linux Install Fest. I'm your host, Justin Garrison, and today we are going to install on Equinix Metal. This is a installation in a cloud provider that provides Metal services. If you're not familiar with Equinix Metal, they have a lot of really cool features, as well as AMD 64 and ARM CPUs. And for my guest today, I have David Flanagan, who is a old friend. I'm actually wearing his shirt from Clustered, his YouTube series that he was doing for a long time. I was a guest on that, which was a lot of fun, breaking and fixing Kubernetes clusters. And I threw out the request and asked, hey, would you want to come on and do this with me? And he's never done a Talos install before, so his first time. We're going to go through Equinix Metal. If you are interested in learning more about Talos and want to just come hang out in London, we have TalosCon coming up in September. David is actually going to be speaking at TalosCon, so you'll also see him there if you come out. So check out TalosCon on sidearrowlabs.com, and let's go ahead and bring him up and get ready for this. How's it going, David?
Very well, thank you. I'm excited to deploy some metal today.
So when you've been doing a lot of Kubernetes for a little while now. It's been a minute. What is your typical setup? Like where are you usually deploying Kubernetes clusters?
I tend to just use Equinix Metal. Disclaimer, I used to work there, so I have a ton of free credits, and I only ever really need single node Kubernetes clusters, which are super easy to manage with just straight up kubadmin. So that tends to be my go-to.
Right, and you have Terraform to do the kubadmin stuff, or do you just have a Packer script that's?
Yeah, it's Terraform CDK. So I write it all in TypeScript, but it then renders down to Terraform JSON representation, and then that gets spun up. So I do everything in user data. There's none of those crazy SSH command provisioners. I hate that stuff.
So you write a bash script.
Pretty
so
much,
user data just renders down to bash script, and so you're just wrapping bash in Python.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same code I use time and time again. It's never let me down. It's what we use for clustered as well. It works surprisingly well.
Well, let's move beyond bash script this time, and we'll get this set up with an actual API for the OS as well. I'm going to put in the public comments here the doc that's we're roughly going to, I think, follow here. I think I'll throw it in your private chat as well. I don't know if you have the window open for StreamYard still.
I do, yeah.
But this is a doc we'll mostly walk through. Do you have Talos control installed?
No, is it available via Nix packages?
It is. I just learned that it was available in Nix packages doing these streams. So it's in Homebrew. It's also in Nix packages, or there's a binary on GitHub.
Let me bump that font size up as well. Actually,
that might be helpful to be a little big.
Whoa! I'd also change the font.
Do
not do that. Do not do that. Oh, good. That looked dreadful. All right. There we go.
It's already there. All right, sweet. So in this case, the very first command, this is having us generate the config first. So you just made an empty directory, and sorry, man, still morning for me. I'm still waking up. We've been doing the same command for a lot of people, but it's talos control gen space config. And this is going to create the three files we need. We want a worker node, a control plane node, and a talos config. The things we need to do is we need to give it a cluster name of just like anything we want to call it. We can call it Equinix. We can call it Grid. We can call it whatever you want. And then we need to give it an endpoint with HTTPS, either a load balancer, a DNS name, or just an IP address. Usually when we've been doing these, we've been getting that IP address, that endpoint first, is we'll create a node, and then that IP address is our endpoint. If we want to do this with, I don't know if you have a subdomain registered in Equinix already, we could make it part of a load balancer. If not, we can go the other route and create a load balancer, get the IP address from it, and then make that our endpoint.
Do we need a load balancer or just an IP?
Just an IP.
All right. Let's reserve an IP.
Yep.
Yeah, Amsterdam. Why not?
Just an IP we can assign to a machine or a set of machines.
Yep.
There we go.
Yep. So we
Sweet.
just
So
drop that in like that.
HTTPS and then :6443 at the end. That's the Kubernetes API. And so all this is doing here is generating those 3 files. It's mainly doing certificates, right? It's like it's signing the certificate with the endpoint that we want for Kubernetes. It's also making certificates for the Talos API because everything is API driven. So hit enter on that. Now you have 3 files. Open up the control plane. Yeah, we'll just look through it real quick. This has all of the examples and docs in it. We can render it without that. But the main sections in here is that top machine item is how Talos is being configured. So this is typically when you're looking at, like a user data or something like this is, hey, what IP address do I need? Talos is, again, it's just the API, the init system, the kubelet, and containerd, and that's it. That's like the whole box. And so the only thing we really need to tell it here is what kubelet to run. And you can have a cached image, you can have whatever image you want, you can have settings on the kubelets, whatever you need there. Those certificates at the top, again, are just for the Talos API, so that we can communicate to it. I don't think we're gonna have to change much in here. Only thing I'm not sure about is how Equinix Metal machines, how they represent their volumes, because we do want to do an install to a disk, and that volume would be like dev SDA, or it's going to be VDA or NVMe. I don't know how that is. So I'm wondering if there's anything in the doc that says that. I don't think there is. Oh, you know what? I don't even know if this doc is going to make do a full install, because it's going to PXE boot and it's going to provide that configuration. So I don't know if that's actually going to matter.
We'll find out.
We will find out. In this case, I'm trying to see. Oh, so the doc shows that they have a DNS. So they used a DNS endpoint for the endpoint for Kubernetes, but we'll still use that public IP address. So we have our config. Go down about halfway in that doc. There's a metal device create command, and a little bit more. There you go. In this case, it's telling Equinix, hey, I want you to create a machine. You're going to PXE boot from iPXE out to factory, which is a thing we'll pull up here in a second. And the user data file is going to be that control plane. And that's your user data is going to be just that YAML that we sent it. Let's go to factory.talos.dev and get a PXE endpoint.
Sorry, say that again. Talos.
Factory.talos.dev.
Talos factory.
Factory.talos.
Oh.
All right. And so in this case, it asks us, we're going to build an image like we normally would with Packer or something, just so that we can get this PXE boot endpoints. It's a bare metal machine, so we can select bare metal. Click next. We'll use 175 as our version. We can create an AMD 64 machine. We won't do the ARM ones this time, but you could, if you want to make ARM, we could also do that. So let's go next. Secure boot is only if, I don't know if Equinix Metal has UEFI and TPMs by default on the machines, and if secure boot's enabled, because we would have to register a key. Usually that's for like if you actually are going to set the BIOS to be secure boot. I don't know what Equinix Metal does by default. In this case, these are system extensions. These are roughly drivers or services, things you would want to add to a base Talos install. Things like Btrfs or Tailscale. Let's get the Intel microcode, because that's not in there by default. So search for Intel. It's a little bit too small for me to see what you're actually clicking on.
I clicked on Intel Ucode.
Oh, okay, yeah. So let's leave those. So you're doing Btrfs and an Intel Ucode. That works.
Yeah.
Click next. This would be customizations for the kernel. There's some basic things we can customize here for Talos, but we don't need to. So you can just click next. And now we have a customized ISO that we could just download and boot from. There's a disk image, or if you scroll down a little bit more, there'll be an iPXE endpoint right there. Yep. So we're going to use that in that command in the docs.
Okay.
So we should be able to just replace that. Yep, that iPXE command. What was the... There's a plan variable, and I don't know what that actually is in Equinix.
Let's do a medium. Is that the only config we need?
There's a project ID and a facility, which I'm assuming are regular Equinix.
Well, we don't use facilities anymore, so let's see if it works with a metro.
Okay.
And the last one you said was
Project ID.
Project ID. All right. Project settings. Copy. Export. Metal off token.
What's a metal off token?
Well, we need to use the metal CLI, so we have to authenticate.
Oh, okay.
Metal token. That looks all right to me.
The doc does say in the control plane YAML, we need to put hash bang Talos at the top for user data to interpret it. And Talos. Yep.
Just like that, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm seeing if I missed something here. Oh, and it has a host name in the command as well, which that's probably what they're...
Well, that's just an arbitrary name that we give this.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's what they were, if it's using that for the endpoint, because then it creates, no, it creates A records for that IP address. I don't know if there's a way in that machine creates to assign that reserved IP address to the machine, but we could probably do that after.
Let's jump back to here and add the metal CLI. And device create help. I think we might have to associate that after.
That's fine. It should still boot and configure itself. We just, the cert won't be trusted until we go through that IP address to get to the machine, because that's how the certificate was signed.
Okay, so I'm going to copy this command. I'm just going to stick it into a script.
You have to change the facility there, right?
So metro. This is going to come from iPXE URL plan hostname. Right, so I'll just make sure those all match up. Oh yeah, ENVRC.
Didn't you?
I dropped out my next shell.
So. Oh.
All right, iPXE URL, plan, metro, project ID, off token.
We can create an arbitrary host name, yep.
So now we want to create here, plus X. Project ID, metro, iPXE URL. Although now I hate myself because I've not wrapped these. What's the Vim shortcut for wrapping? Can I do that?
Yeah.
Not worth the time trying to work that one out. All right. Okay. I think this looks pretty good. You happy?
Sure.
All right. Metal off token, please. No, that didn't work. Weird next shell thing. Just make sure this token. Right. Okay.
We can try it and see where it breaks. That's the whole point. What's op run?
So you'll see that my metal off token is actually a one password secret
Yeah.
reference. It goes
Yeah.
to the
Oh, so it's
vault.
OP a one password run. Okay.
Yeah, and it will swap out those secrets and mask them from the terminal output.
Nice.
You can't see it because it's popped up on the other screen, but it's making me authenticate. Google Gemini.
What?
Oh, I was playing around with the this really cool thing, right? Where I can type AI. Oh, not in my next shell, I can't. AI is an alias that I've got, but it's this AI chat thing where you can say like "hello" and it talks to Google Gemini. But clearly, if I do a printenv, I have it in here. So we'll need to do an unset Gemini. All right, maybe my secret reference is wrong. Give me one moment. Copy reference. Oh, I bet I'm just on the wrong account. That'll be what it is. Yeah. OP sign in. This is my private vault. So
Oh, yeah, different one password account.
yeah, I just have to switch vault. All right, third time's the charm.
Not found. Oh, it needs the.
Okay, so I got my metro wrong. We can fix that. AM is the metro. No. It's airport codes. AM is correct, right?
Gonna be 3 letters. I'm marking this one down to update the docs.
So CNVC. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's AM. Done. So now we can do a metal device list. LS.
Nice.
Get. Come on, give me something.
Aliases get and list.
Can you not list them? Yeah, get as a. Oh, project ID. Okay.
Oh.
Right, there we go.
All right, so it's provisioning.
We should assign the IP address.
I'm assuming we just need to assign the IP address. If we want to look at the console, it's probably up to. Let's double check that it's actually Pixie booting. I don't know.
Yeah, we can do that. We could do either SSH in or just do it through the UI and make.
There's no SSH, so.
If there is with Equinix Metal, we can go over the special backend to get the console output. So let's assign this IP address. I've never done this without Terraform before. Don't think I can do it until it's
still
happy. Yeah, we'll give that a wee minute.
Still starting up.
Yeah, but normally we would create a device IP allocation. Yeah, so we can do assignment here, which just needs IP address, which we can grab. I'm sure I've got it. And it wants the device ID, which we
just said, yeah.
Here. Why did that not copy on highlight?
It's not copying on highlight.
No.
Welcome to Wayland.
I hate this big massive cursor too.
Whoa. Whoa.
All right, let's just wait. I don't know why it's not copying on highlight. I'm trying out a new terminal, which is the new GNOME beta one called PTYXIS.
I'm not a fan of it. I know it integrates with containers better, but I kind of like no integration on some things. I'm still using Blackbox.
I normally rock WebSerm. It's a pretty solid one, but it's got some Wayland bugs that I can't work out. Wayland, what am I doing?
I wonder if it actually. Let's try to get to the console output. Just make sure that because it shouldn't take. I mean, I don't know how long the provisioning side of it takes.
Okay, metal. Again, I haven't done this without using SSH, but I'm assuming we can probably get. No, maybe it isn't available with the metal CLI. Right, let's just do this. So we can say out of band. We copy this. We drop this in. Say yes. Authorize my SSH key. Nothing yet. Was that our IP address?
I don't know if it was 101. Must have been, right? I can't see that.
Yeah, 139. Okay, cool. All right, let's assign the IP. I'm not getting anything on the SOS terminal yet. But we have assigned it.
Oh, okay. So we can. That console stopped on us.
It might just be there's nothing coming through it. Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to send the console output by default to whatever the interface is that Equinix sets.
Well, we'll leave that there in case we need it. Pop that back open again. All right, so we've done this. Let's assume that's working, right?
Yeah, we will assume it's there and it's available. Let's use and because we gave it the control plane YAML, like it should have actually already provisioned itself or knows that it's a control plane node. We can run the Talos control CLI now and see if we can hit it through that IP address that we assigned. So we have a Talos config in that local directory, and so you can export Talos config to that file. and then you can run Talos control health, and then do a -n in the IP address, that public IP address that we have. Do you need to set any firewall or anything on that network, or security groups, whatever they call them, in Equinix?
Equinix Mail doesn't have any of that by default. So
Okay.
no,
I was like, I don't know if that port's going to be. Oh, and sorry, and then a space -e for endpoint and same IP address. So it doesn't look like we're hitting it. Because we would get output here of what it was doing. Yeah, chicken. That does seem to be the common thing of a lot of these streams is we're figuring out how the environment runs more than how the operating system runs.
Is that port correct?
Is that I can't read it. It looks. Is it 50,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it not big enough? You want it bigger?
I can make my screen a little bit bigger too. Don't change your font again.
It really wants to be on that cursive font.
I kind of like this handwritten terminal. It's bespoke. It's nice. Okay, so it can't hit port 50,000 or the port it's not actually running. One of those things, either one could be true. This could be a number of.
So what I would do from an Equinix Metal perspective here is, because I'm on a SOS terminal and I'm not getting anything back, I would be inclined to reboot the machine so we can actually see the post setup and the BIOS, etc. And then we'll know what's happening. Because
Okay.
what's happening, what I think is happening right now is that we just connected to the SOS terminal, the out-of-band terminal, after Talos had done all its things. So there's just nothing streaming to the terminal.
Well, I mean, it still does usually stream dmessage logs out to TTY. Is this a yes, chicken. Is this a serial terminal, or what? How does this actually attach to the machine?
Yeah, it's a serial terminal over SSH.
Okay. Over SSH into.
So we SSH to the Equinix Metal network, and it routes us to the serial terminal.
Okay. Because usually, but let me see if there's a, because that might also be a customization on the kernel to tell it which TTY to go to, right? It's like, is this TTY S0? Is this serial over SSH? I wonder if there's a thing in here that tells me where to set this.
So if I try the IPv4 that we didn't set up beforehand with the Talos Health, will it complain about certificates rather than not
Yes.
connect? All right, so let's do that as our confirmation step. I want to rule some stuff out here.
Go to the IP address of the machine?
Yeah, the one that it booted up with. I'd rather see an error than see the hang. No, it's hanging. So I'm inclined to suggest that we reboot the machine and see what happens.
I do see here that there is a configuration in Equinix's docs for a different TTY output for that terminal.
Okay.
So if I put that in the comments, we can go back into the factory and set this as the kernel parameter for our TTY. And maybe we'll get those logs, those out-of-band logs. There you go. Yep.
Can you show me that comment again?
Where to go? TTY S1. So you'll have to do the dash console. That's what it was. This will give us a new iPixie endpoint, so we'll have to recreate the machine or update that iPixie endpoint and reboot.
Okay. Maybe it doesn't like me going back and clicking on next again. Should I start again?
That's weird. I do that all the time. Apparently, we also have a cloud provider endpoint for Equinix Metal already. So we could restart and select that as our endpoint too. Let's just go back to factory. One more time. Do cloud server, and the Equinix Metal is an option in right there.
Will that set up the TTY for us?
Possibly. I don't see it there.
All right, so we need the Intel Ucode. I won't bother with the file system.
Oh, but prefix the argument with removes. Oh, I see. The dash would have removed it. Okay. Let's try that. Come on, factory. Don't fail me now.
So how does this factory work? Does it actually generate
Yeah.
an image?
Yep. There's a command we have called imager, which generates out. It just when you're adding extensions, it's layering in like the squash fs, because that's all Talos is. It's just squash fs. So it's just like, okay, we're just going to compress all those things like a Docker run layers, right? It's just like take all those things and give me the actual artifact out. I
think the factory might be broken.
I'm gonna do it myself because if mine works, I think the factory might be broken. What happened? Okay. If this doesn't work, we're going to do it the old way. And we can download the ISO and upload and mount the ISO and create a machine. Because this doesn't look like it's going anywhere. So let's do it that way. We'll do it the manual way, which is a lot less fun. And I was hoping to do some iPixie here. But at least that way I know it works. I mean, part of this is to have fun and figure out how this works. But reboot the node. Oh, Chicken was asking if we could reboot the node with the serial terminal, seeing if anything shows up. But if Talos is sending it to the wrong TTY, then it's not gonna.
Yeah, but we should still see the post.
You should still see the main system post. Nothing.
Reboots on Equinix Metal.
Oh yeah, it's actually booting an actual physical machine, huh? So that is going to take that's going to take a minute. I'm used to a little while this is going, while that's rebooting. Chicken says the factory's working for him. What?
Well, can he give us a URL?
Yeah, give us the iPixie URL. Change that terminal. I can get to the first few sections, but when I try to generate that image, it just spins.
Yeah. You can see the request hanging. Oh, there we go.
See.
My machine is now booting. Let's see if we see some Talos.
Chicken, we just need the Intel U code and that comment I sent with it'd be here. I'll put another comment in here. Console TTY as the customization. That's the step that hangs for me. Is as soon as I click next on that customization, it spins, not getting me the image. Either way, let's go ahead and download the ISO as a backup. Here's the GitHub release page. I think in this case we can just get the metal ISO.
Yeah, it's downloading. Yeah, it looks like it's.
It just stops sending right there, huh?
Yeah. Which I suspect is because we don't have that console parameter, and now we're losing.
Right.
Do we have a new iPixie URL from the chat?
No, Chicken says same results. It's just spinning. He's trying to get curl, but I think if it's not gonna generate that image for us either way, the API is not going to give you a new one.
So what's the plan?
Christian says they have an iPixie endpoint. Well, if the ISO download, let's build a machine and boot off the ISO.
All right. How do we do that?
I don't know in Equinix. I'm assuming you can you upload media and create a boot media from it?
No.
Or attach a no? Can you attach an ISO at all to a VM?
No.
Okay.
VMs.
Or I mean a hardware.
You used to be able to just pick Talos.
Let me see.
Yeah, we're going to need an iPixie URL.
All right. Oh, here's a new iPixie URL. Hold on. Wait. There it is. You're going to want to copy and paste this one.
Where from?
Here. Can you copy? You can't copy and paste that out of chat, right?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Try that one.
Now you're asking me to boot random machines.
Yeah.
I have.
It's from the internet. It's completely trusted.
All right. Let's stick with our system.
This is why we build the system, right? Because it's easy to swap out those things. And that one should have the Intel U code and the Equinix Metal customizations.
I love that every time I have to authenticate GNOME and Wayland, decide randomly which monitor to pop up. All right, we have a new device. Let's go fix that IP address. Shut this one down.
Right, because we'll want that IP address again. I believe someone just told me that when you use the Equinix Metal platform, it should automatically give you that serial output. So we could try doing that again.
I am in Talos. I need to wait for it to give me a UUID for the band access.
Yeah. Token expired. So all of a sudden, you're kicked out.
This is where they realized they gave me loads of credits when I left the company a few years ago, and they're like, crap.
Like, wait a minute. I had discovered that Amazon gives you an employee discount for Amazon.com. And so for first party purchases, you get like it's like $100 a year or something. It's like not much. Like it's like you get 10% on purchases. But they give you a code at the beginning of the year, and so you just put the code in your Amazon account, and that code works after you leave the company. So I got my full $100 of discounts, of employee discounts.
Nice. Yeah, I think this might be a bit of a shock to people that are used to hyperscalers and instant virtual machines versus
just virtual machines in general versus a physical machine. Sometimes those reboots take longer. And actually, it's interesting too with Talos, we reboot as little as possible. So when you do an install, it doesn't actually do a full shutdown, power off. It does a kexec. So it's just, hey, we're going to install the disk. We're going to go down far enough, kill all the PIDs, and then kexec over to the new kernel and start your new machine. So save time without doing those full reboots.
Yeah, the people that work at Equinix, they built out Tinkerbell, the CNCF open source project that does all this bare metal provisioning. And one of the major speed improvements they made in like 2020, 21 was all installations were a kexec as well.
Yeah.
Going from the base operating system to the booted one. It was very cool. Very cool the way it worked.
Yeah, so all of our installs and our upgrades and those sorts of things should usually kexec. There's a few situations when you actually need to fully reboot, but I have some interesting hardware quirks I found on machines that kexec doesn't work quite right because it doesn't fully like reinitialize the network card. So it's like, oh, we boot down and then the NIC IP address goes away and it doesn't ask for another IP ever. Like the NIC's like, no, I'm not ready yet. So I was like, I have a machine right here that I had to go in the BIOS and turn off some settings for like making the network wait for delay for pre-boot environments. And I'm like, what is this setting? I look it up in the manual. I'm like, oh, look, that tells the NIC to never get an IP address again. So turn off some of that stuff and it works just fine.
Reminds me of Linux on a laptop, that whenever you suspend it, your 50-50 of Bluetooth and Wi-Fi will work when you wake it back up. All right, let's get in here. So what we should be able to do is go back to our assign IP address first. From here, network, assign, public, done. Okay. that copy, is it? There we go.
Still no.
And that could just be that IP address assignment. So let's try it with the provisioned IP as well. Not looking good.
No. Chicken was saying that when you use the Equinix metal from the image factory, it should add the console T2A automatically.
But that could all have finished. I mean, we could do a reboot again and see if it helps, but yeah, I don't think we have a working machine.
Making sure that I selected the right thing. Yeah, because it has Equinix metal there for the Pixie boot environments. That URL gives me the iPixie scripts, and I see that's console arguments already in there.
I'm going to force a quick reboot just to see what if we can get that BIOS back up.
Yeah, Tim, we were checking the out-of-band console doesn't give us any output. It gives us output before boot with like hard drive initialization, but we don't see anything else.
Is the C3 Medium's x86 supported on that image? Because remember, all the hardware is a little bit different on Equinix.
I don't know any hardware that's not. I haven't found an x86 box that doesn't boot for me yet. At minimum, I always get a boot. I've had emulators. This is, I guess, the only time that I've seen Talos not boot is I will show you. UTM SE is a hypervisor, is a new emulator for classic PCs on an iPhone, and the only time I've seen Talos not boot was on this emulator where the CPU was from, I don't know, the 90s, and it did not have all of the options that it wanted. So I can actually, oh no, that one failed. I have a Talos machine that'll boot here, but it gets no network, and so I was debugging that. But that's the only time I've seen Talos actually like throw a fit and say like, "Hey, I can't boot on this CPU; it's too old."
Do you still have your Coop?
It's right behind me. I'm doing a stream on that next with Kat, so we're gonna install some stuff on top of it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm finally finishing my YouTube video edits from building that 2 years ago.
All right, let's see what the band shows us.
Go.
Maybe end
Nothing.
of the road. Oh, bitten from drive C. What?
Okay, there's your name.
Yeah, okay, maybe it's going.
DHCP. I saw it do something.
No such
Current
failure
boot mode is not
directory.
network unreachable. So it does a TFTP to 147. So it gets the next server. Network boot. No, then it tries to iPixie. And it says network unreachable. It's trying to boot again. And then it fails. It is trying to network boot to something. In the console, in the web console, can we double check that URL set?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's AMD 64 console. Let me double check here. In factory. Tim says doubling with the console may have caused problems. I don't even know if I pasted a console customization the second time there for this URL. And Lewis is going to give us another random iPixie endpoint to try. There's an always boot from iPixie setting that if it isn't checked will only boot once from iPixie. In that, Tim, that's in the web console. Always Pixie. No. We want always Pixie. Yes.
Guess we're going to have to reboot this, right?
Guess we got one more reboot in us.
Oh, wait, there.
Wait. 41%. Don't reboot. Did you reboot already?
Uh-huh.
Is it going to reboot on us?
I don't know.
It's stuck at 41% though. So I don't have high hopes. No.
Damn.
I'm writing down my notes for docs there. We need to set that always iPixie.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's just a flag on the device create.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That's an easy pull request. But in the web console, does it show that it's trying to reboot?
Well, there's...
No. Still says running.
Yeah, reboot.
Oh, there it goes. Okay. How does that? I'm actually trying to think now. If you reboot the machine and it's set to always iPixie, Tim, you might know this one. It's if it's set to always iPixie, but we already have Talos installed. I know if I leave the ISO in the drive, it defers to the local install. But iPixie, I don't think will do that. If I have it set to always iPixie and I always iPixie back to the factory, it'll always reprovision itself, wouldn't it? Because that's not ideal either. Yes, it will. Okay, just good to know. I thought through that one right.
Right, Right, so once we see the 41%, we're going to turn off the always iPixie. Is that what you're saying?
Well, we just don't reboot the box again. We're fine.
Oh, Tim is saying it detects there's a system disk with Talos and switches to it.
Right, but that's only the. Does it do that from the iPixie endpoint too? I thought that was only for some reason with the grub menu when you boot from a CD or something. You can leave it. Cool. Spencer says Pixie Boom will detect. Okay, never mind then. Hey, that looks like a Talos boot, 18%. Okay. Look at that. initramfs. So now we need to make sure that the, I'm assuming the console kernel args are working this time.
It would appear so. So that means we should be able to run this pretty soon, right?
As soon as that API is up, yeah.
Oh,
You have a different
broke.
CB8. Which one? Which URL do we have? Uh, 14D. Is that the one in the? Yeah, it must be. If you go to that URL in the web browser, what does it show?
Which one?
Should,
Sorry.
the iPixie endpoint. It should give you an iPixie script. You copy it out of the environment variable probably.
I'll copy it from the chat.
The one I sent you here is the CBD one that Tim mentioned, but that one.
Yeah, that's the one we
used.
used.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, so this is not right. Is that what we're saying?
That schematic URL is not the same. It's that ends in 314D. Oh, but wait, but that's from the. Yeah, no, that's not. It's like it's downloading a different image.
But this device has only ever seen the image that we set.
.314D. That's a different URL. Open that in a browser.
Yeah, where did they get that from?
I don't know. We must have given to it that at some point. Well, if you open that URL, what does that show? Oh, so this is a bare metal one. So this was the first one we had. So that has the TTYS0, which does not have the console outputs. So if we change that to the other one we want it to have, I don't know why. We're going back to it. Hey, you have Docker installed, right?
Podman, yeah.
I don't think that's one we need to still work on is the local Talos cluster doesn't work with Podman.
Do
was
we
gonna
have
say
time to wait? Are you good? Or do you
I'm
need
good.
to...
I'm good.
Right, okay.
How you liking the Zellage or whatever it's called, the Tmux alternative? I see it there in the bottom left.
It's fantastic. It's Tmux for humans. That's what I like to think of it. Tmux I've always found.
But I have used Tmux so long I am no longer a human. That is that is one of my concerns is I have to unlearn all of my Tmux.
Yeah, but the Zelly shortcuts are mnemonic, so you don't really need to learn anything. Like if I want to do a tab, I do Control T, panes. I can just do split, and everything is the right letter for the thing. Whereas with Tmux, it's just been.
I mean, my config is I've had a config that is just muscle memory. Also, with a Dvorak keyboard, most of the like keyboard shortcuts never make sense to me anyway. So it's like it's all just muscle memory. But the one thing the main thing I use Tmux for is literally just like I'll split panes and then I zoom them. I zoom and unzoom them. And Zellage or however you pronounce it had like floating panes, which looked really interesting.
Yeah, you can do floating or you can do zoomed in. It's like
yeah, that was like the one thing that I use all the time. So I was like, okay, if I can get to that, I think I'm okay. I did switch from my old crufty Vim config this year to lazy Vim when I switched jobs, and I'm still getting used to lazy Vim. It's a lot. there's a lot of stuff it does.
Were you not tempted to make the move to Helix?
No. I tried Helix for like 3 weeks and I was like, this isn't it.
I do like the reverse in the order, so you do the like change 8 and all that. I think it works nice, but I mean I use VS Code.
I was trying. When I went to Amazon, I really tried to use VS Code, and I used it for only VS Code for a good, I don't know, year and a half, and I'm like, I just couldn't anymore. So I switched back to Vim, and it was nice and comfortable. And then I was like, well, let me try Helix, and I'm like, this wasn't quite what I wanted. So it's like, let me just get someone else's config on top of NeoVim and see how well it works. So this one now should have booted our correct input. Oh, it's still, there's the link. Okay. That was a good catch, Tim, to see the
yeah, our automation I think screwed us there because I didn't resource the envrc.
Oh, so even though you edit the file, it didn't resource it.
And because I'm in an X shell, it doesn't run the dir-env hook, so we didn't even catch it.
There it is. Look at that console output. We're booting a machine. Now we're starting the dashboard. We're starting the API server. There goes network. Link status definitely up. Just by the way, we are definitely up. So let's try that command. It's doing the install.
Yeah, build installer image.
Yeah, it's gonna do the install and then reboot or kexec.
I think it just did the kexec there.
Yeah. So the API is not back up yet. There's udev syslog. Got metadata. Waiting for time sync. Yeah. Health check successful. Sweet. Waiting to join cluster. There we go. Okay, so go back to the first and run that health. Let's see if that IP address is working. And this is the public IP. Did we assign that?
We did, yeah.
Okay. That's not.
Yeah, we assigned it. Okay.
101. Okay. Because that's what we assigned the cert with. But that should have returned.
Timeout over here.
It's timing out because etcd hasn't been bootstrapped yet. So the node knows, hey, I'm supposed to be a control plane node at this point, because that's we sent it the control plane config. Yeah, Tim, we reserved an IP address. I believe it'd be public. It's a public. I mean, it is in the public space. But at this point, so the node knows, hey, I need to be a control plane node. I'm gonna get ready to run everything I want, but I'm gonna wait for the Kubernetes API to come up. Kubernetes API is not gonna come up until etcd is in a cluster, and you see there etcd is waiting to join the cluster. So we have to run the etcd bootstrap command. There's another public IP address on the box, correct? But we only signed the cert with the reserved IP address that we used, because we have a stable reserved IP address is where we signed the Kubernetes cert when we generated the config. Oh, but are you saying it's using the internal IP address?
I mean, we can try this one, but
the cert's not signed with that. Okay, so EIPs don't get attached to the interface itself in Equinix Metal. So
I can run health now.
Okay, so try. So let's do kill that command, and let's run Talos control config endpoint that IP address. Sorry, the word endpoint, and then we're just adding these to the config file, so we don't have to send them to the command every time. Click enter on that. This is just editing our config file, and then Talos config node that IP address. So we don't have to do it every time. We don't have to set those flags. There we go. So now run Talos control dashboard. Hey, there we go. That's what we want to see. So this is the default dashboard you usually get if you not a serial console, but like a actual monitor on the device. And we see we're in booting mode, but we're not ready yet. But we know the components we want to run. So hit Q out of this and then run Talos control bootstrap. And that's going to create the etcd database. Now etcd is going to say, okay, now I'm joining the cluster. We can create the database. And now all the other components can start to run because we actually have a database that they can store data in. There's your etcd health check successful. You can go back to that dashboard command and you'll get all those same logs here at the bottom. It's just demessage. Push F2 and you'll see a top-like interface, which is stats of what it's doing, and then just the processes running here. So you'll see actual outputs for things. As container D is going to start all those, it's going to download those components, the API server, controller manager, scheduler as containers. It runs them locally as static pods. And so it's just going to boot all those now that etcd is available, and all the components are just going to wait for the API server to come up first, basically. Go back to F1 on the summary, and we'll see if those components are running yet. It does take a second to download them. Question from the chat. Christian, can I run the same bare metal server, the control plane, etcd, and worker node? Yes. You can have a single node cluster, Kubernetes endpoint.
I guess you can just remove the taint, right? It's just standard Kubernetes at that point.
Yep. Yeah, everything at that point. And so we have actually a config. If you open up the control plane YAML file, the very last line says allow workloads on control plane. And so you would just uncomment that and then send it back to the API. And so you could do that through Cloud.net, or you could literally just Talos control apply config and send it to our machine. And that'll allow workloads to run. It looks like the controller manager is trying to start there.
There we go.
Oh, there they are. We'll get one more health check and we'll get a ready state there of true. And then if you wanted, you could create multiple of these machines. Like if you booted on another machine off the same iPixie endpoint, you have the same config. It'll join this cluster as another control plane node. The worker YAML would just join the cluster as a worker, obviously, but it would just iPixie those endpoints and grab that for us. The last thing usually to do is there you go. There's CNIs running. So now you're ready.
Yeah.
It runs fine
take
by
a moment to appreciate that the IPv6 address of the gateway is beef.
What's that? Oh, that's a very good. It almost said feed beef.
Feed beef, yeah.
Yeah, it's like fed. Fed beef.
Yeah, deaf feed beef.
Yes,
like the computer's trying to talk to us.
It definitely wants a burger for lunch. Nice. So quit out of this real quick, and we'll just do a couple of quick things. Do talos control kubeconfig dot. That saved a kubeconfig file for that cluster in your local directory, so you could export that and or use it in command and get nodes, get pods, all whatever you want to do. It's just Kubernetes at this point. So the second time we had side quests with Nix. Oh, and then you get a new shell, so you don't get your history.
Yeah.
Oh,
although it should be on. Yeah, it should be in my Atoin history. But yeah, it's not all right.
Tim's here for the Nix live streams.
I'm trying to like, because I ditched my Mac with the fire. I'm trying to just now use like Silverblue and nothing on the host and everything for Nix. So I'm still finding a flow that works right now. But,
I mean, you used Brew on the Mac before, right?
yeah, but I like Nix.
That's why I feel like Nix too. I've been using Brew for I don't know how long, for 5-6 years. Why isn't that returning?
Oh, because the kubeconfig is going to have that elastic IP, isn't it? Yeah.
We want the elastic IP. Oh no, we want the reserved
it wasn't
IP.
Working, yeah.
Yeah.
Oops, wrong way.
Oh, you can use Nix env-i kube control to not have a subshell.
I mean, that would install it into my Nix store, which I didn't want.
You didn't. Oh. Well, there you go. So okay, so there you go. Now you have a just straight up like Kubernetes.
Sorry, off by one error.
There you go. And so yeah, by defaults, you get the components of the control plane as part of the cluster, obviously, and then you have flannel and kubeproxy. Those are just kind of defaults that we're adding in there. But you can in your config, in your cluster config, you can set it to not have those by default. If you say no CNI, I want to install that and manage it later or somewhere other way with GetOps. Those are all options. One other thing, let's just like this was a Talos install, not a. I mean, we have Kubernetes. You know how your way around Kubernetes. Run Talos control again. No commands. I was trying to think one of the commands to show you here. Yesterday we actually did on live stream an upgrade Kates to upgrade all of the components.
Well, the 131 beta just dropped. We can always throw that on.
I have another live stream in 40 minutes. I can't. I can't go through another reboot. So if you run, what's the other one I was looking for? Health shows you health of the components. Do logs, Talos control logs, and then is it all? I think there's a special word for all. No, do etcd. So most people are like, I need SSH because I have to get the Kube API server is running as in a pod. So it actually you can get that from kube control. Those logs are part of the cluster. So you don't usually, it's like, oh, this is a systemd service. I'm like, no, like it's in the cluster. You can get those things. Do Talos control services. Those are all the services running on the machine that we can get logs from. So if you're looking for any of those things, you can say, oh, I want logs from one of those services. That was the, thank you, Noel. That was the one I was looking for too. Because you can do Talos control container -k will get you logs from a container running in the Kubernetes namespace. So if you'd have to know the name of the pod or the container.
So Talos deviates from kubadmin by not running etcd as a meta pod, right? So is that because you use etcd yourself for Talos stuff too, or is it just for Kubernetes?
So etcd being run as it is used for aspects of Talos as well. So if you have if you set up like a VIP for the machines, it will use etcd as coordinating that VIP, right? It's not going through, it's not doing it as like all of the nodes broadcasting ARP. It's actually looking at, okay, who has leader election right now in etcd. So yes, it is run as a system service in Talos because it is generally used. But yeah, you can get logs from the services there. You can get like Talos control containers. We'll list out all the containers that are running.
Do Talos control port forward, or would that just be kube control port forward?
That would just be kube control port forward. Yep. I'm trying to think of, like you could do one that some people are like, I need something. Might want to do is Talos control TCP dump, right? Like that just is going to get you. You can send an interface and get TCP dump out of the API. Again, these are all things that people are usually like, I need to SSH because I need this data. It's like that there's APIs for the data as well, and we can stream that data over an API without doing some of that stuff. So like netstat is one there. PCAP, and if you want to
need to add the ability for me to deploy my own BPF program to the kernel. That would be cool.
I mean, you can do it if you have Kubernetes up, right? Like at that point, you can.
But then I'd have to run like a host privilege super pod to get that eBPF in, right?
Yes, you do need to run a privilege pod to put that in there. Yeah, but like, I mean, because you run Cilium, right? Like Cilium is putting eBPF programs in place. You could also do something like kube control debug /node at this point and get a interactive terminal that has host access to the system, because it's going to mount in those things just through standard kube control debug commands. But most of it is just designed for like basic system maintenance. You can do upgrades, do rolling upgrades. You could do you could there's like a PS outputs. You can read your host. Yep.
I'm just having fun there. So
yeah, you can list, you can list root. So it's like you have ls, you have read, you have those sorts of commands that are just generally like, oh yeah, this stuff works over an API without all of the other services. And you have that dashboard that you can look at, other various things. So yeah, I'm glad we got there. I know this one took an hour just for a few reboots, but once we got the Pixie endpoint all configured, we're set.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very, very cool.
Yeah. Thanks for doing it with me. And
thank you for your patience and for the chat, for all their help. We got there.
Yes, thank you very much. So anyone that is, again, if you're doing those at Equinix Metal, there is a doc. I'm going to add a couple of updates to it. And then if you're interested, TalosCon, David's going to be there in London. And I'm looking forward to your talk. And I'll see you in a couple months in person. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to showing you all how to use Q for some fancy YAML delivery systems.
Yeah, that'll be good. Great. Well, thanks everyone. We'll talk to you again soon. Actually, I'm back in like 45 minutes with another stream, so don't go too far if you're on YouTube.